Hey peeps, today I'll be talking about celiac disease, which was also a request in the little box. And it is an inflammatory autoimmune disease, meaning your body is attacking itself. And in this case, it's attacking the cells in your intestines, in your small intestines. And it is inflammatory. So inflammatory component of it will guide the treatment. It's not just removing gluten, but you have to dampen that inflammation and work on it. So it's a disease that is quite prevalent if you think it affects an average 1% of the world population, and it varies from 0.6 to, I don't know, as high as maybe 2 point something, 2.8 around the world. Finland is one of the highest ones. Just thought it was an interesting fact. It affects more women than men. And you need to have the genetic predisposition, so you have to have the HLA DQ2, DQ8 genes, and then you have to have the antigen, the autoantigen tissue transglutaminase, and you have to have the trigger for you to develop the celiac disease. If you just have the genetic component, if you have the genotype for it, only 3% of the people that have the gene manifest celiac disease, which means that the environment is a very important component of developing this diet. So what are things in the environment that can make you manifest this disease? Lyme disease, infection by rotavirus, some other viral infection in your GI, mucosal damage, so your villi in your intestines, the little finger-like projections that are made for you to absorb your nutrients, to increase area of absorption in your intestines, well, they have a mucosal layer around it to protect it so that particles in your GI don't cross and come into contact in your blood, and then your blood mounts a response against that thing because it wasn't supposed to be there. It recognizes it as a foreign object. So also dysbiosis, so meaning that the bad guys and the good guys in your gut are imbalanced, and then when the bad guys grow too much, they start releasing some toxins, and then your blood sees that and it mounts a response. Every time you activate too much your immune system, so it's good to have an immune system, right? It's great. It fights diseases, it fights bacteria, viruses, parasites, fungus. The problem is when it's overactive, it starts attacking yourself. And the thing with celiac disease is that the person, because it's an autoimmune, and usually people that have autoimmune diseases have one or more. So they have more than one. This is not a rule, but it's very common. And for celiac disease specifically, it usually concurs with dermatitis herpetiformis, which are on and off rashes, Sjogren's syndrome, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which attacks your thyroid. What else? Type 1 diabetes, which is attacking your pancreas. Addison's disease, which attacks your adrenals. So people that have celiac disease have to be very careful to manage their disease and dampen that inflammation and calm the body down so that it doesn't become too reactive and then starts attacking other body tissues. So it doesn't have to be this one. It could be any autoimmune disease. These are just the more common ones that concur with celiac disease, but it could be psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, alopecia, many others. So the diagnosis for this disease is first of all, the clinical symptoms, and then the doctor would be suspicious and go ahead and test your blood and for certain antibodies. And then if they find that, then they would go ahead and confirm with the gold standard, which would be cut a little piece of your intestines and make a biopsy of that. Look under the microscope and see if you still have your villi intact or if they're starting to shrink down or even flatten. That would be the worst case scenario. It would be completely flat. So what are the symptoms of the disease? It has three different manifestations. The classical form, which affects 27% of the patients, they would have diarrhea, malabsorption symptoms, which means they're not getting enough nutrients, so the hair's falling off, the nails are weak, the skin is ugly, is like dry and flaky, and they would have like IBS symptoms or SIBO symptoms, like a lot of gas, a lot of bloating, a lot of pain, and weight loss, definitely weight loss. And then more than half, 52% of the patients present with the non-classical form. So that would be constipation, anemia, osteoporosis, neurological problems, and skin issues. Then there is the subclinical type that would be around 21% that they have no symptoms at all. So that would be very hard to find out that you have something. So did I say, yeah, 1% of the population, females are more susceptible, environment, diagnosis. Okay, so how do you treat? So what we want to do first and foremost is remove the trigger, and the trigger is gluten, so no gluten. And when I say no gluten, it is no gluten. Nothing, not even that touched gluten, because cross-contamination is a big deal for celiacs, and if a person with celiac disease has contact with gluten in one day, they will be inflamed for 6 months. So definitely no gluten, no joke. And if the person resists the treatment, meaning they keep on eating gluten, it can vary very much up until cancer. So they could have a lot of weight loss or a lot of malnutrition, meaning your body is not going to be absorbing nutrients, so they can't make hormones, they can't make neurotransmitters, so they're going to have cognitive issues and hormonal issues and enzyme issues and just a whole bunch of issues. And it can progress as bad as having cancer in your intestines. So that's something you definitely want to treat. And so besides removing gluten, we want to work on that inflammation. So the gut inflammation and the systemic inflammation. So we want to repair your gut, repair the mucosal layer, give you an anti-inflammatory diet, take away foods that inflame you. It doesn't really need to be gluten. A lot of people react to rice, react to corns, grains in general. Doing the soaking, the sprouting, the pressure cooking is very important for celiac people, because you really want to have proper digestion. Anything that hinders your digestion inflames you even more. So you want to fix any dysbiosis that might be present, either in the colon or as a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. So you want to tackle that. And then maybe add some probiotics to recolonize and put some good guys back in there after you are done killing the bad guys. You want to replenish the micronutrients that you might be missing. So vitamins, minerals, you have to measure those first. Here in the US, it's a little bit worse because routine exams will only measure iron, B12, and vitamin D, and definitely you want to be looking much further into other minerals, other vitamins, and just replenish those. You want to chew very well because your intestines are already having trouble digesting, so you want to give it as much pre-digestive substance as you can. No sugar or low sugar because of inflammation, and also because of blood sugar control can throw your immune system out of whack as well. More roots, more tubers, a lot of veggies. Better to be cooked veggies, not too much. You can have salads, but not too much salad, because raw vegetables are just more hard to digest on an inflamed gut. They're great for you, but not in this case. More herbs and spices because they're very anti-inflammatory. So curcumin and all those herbs and spices that I keep repeating here. What does Ayurveda say about this? So it says that you have to increase the agni, which is the digestive fire. And how do you do that? A lot of warm teas, warm water before all of your 3 meals. Never drink anything iced or cold or chilled ever. Not just for people with celiac. Ayurveda preaches that you should not put out your digestive fire with cold and iced things. So everything should be room temperature or warm or a little bit hot, not to burn. Therapeutic soups, the daily routines, the dinacharya, every day having a good routine helps lower inflammation, helps the scraping of your tongue and the oil pulling, helps with the digestive fire. You want to also eliminate ama. Ama is toxins, so you would do that through a mono diet, some fasting, some anti-ama diet. So it would be like a detox diet. You want to avoid. So this is inflammation is a imbalance in the pitta dosha. So you want to pacify pitta, and pacifying pitta with dinacharya routines, so daily routines for pacifying pitta, and the diet that pacifies pitta. So no spicy, not very fatty, heavy, things that are irritants, so caffeine and a lot of salt. Salt can be corrosive in excess. So not a lot of processed stuff, preservatives, anything that is very corrosive and very irritant to your bowels. So as much as real food and natural as possible, cooked and warm and nice and soothing. A lot of ginger in your meals because that really helps with the digestive fire. 3 times a day you have to drink tea, anti-inflammatory and digestive tea such as tulsi and licorice. Just a little note on licorice: if you have hypertension, you don't want to have licorice. But ginger tea, fennel tea, artemisia tea, moringa tea, excellent, very anti-inflammatory moringa. It's good for women's hormones as well. You can use essential oils in your house. Eucalyptus, frankincense, and peppermint are very soothing. Ginger is also anti-inflammatory. And then supplements would be aloe. Aloe really soothes. It's very cooling. It's repairing for the mucosal layer. Omega-3s to fight inflammation. Multivitamin, multimineral daily. Vitamin C, quercetin. Quercetin is very anti-inflammatory. Curcumin as a supplement. And a celiac disease person should be having enzymes specific for celiac as an insurance protection for cross-contamination, because unless you're cooking everything inside your house and you're never going anywhere, you're always going to be in contact. So as an insurance policy, having an enzyme that's specific for celiac disease is very important. Also boswellia, which is frankincense, as well as a supplement. Moringa, propolis, very anti-inflammatory. Glutamine helps also repair the mucosal layer. The enterocytes, the little cells in your intestines, it helps repair those. You can use, ghee butter because it's short chain fatty acids. It nourishes your colonocytes, the ones back down in your colon, in your large intestines. And then probiotics may be beneficial. I found some studies that say that lactobacillus and bifidobacterium, some strains of those will not only help with the dysbiosis, lower the inflammation, but also help repair the gut. So I think I touched on all the points here. I always do a better job on the second video because I've said everything on the first one, and then I can kind of summarize on the second one, or things that I forgot on the past one, I can kind of add on this one. So I think I touched everything. And if there's still any questions, just send me a message. Peace.